Israel and the United States have launched a massive joint military operation against Iran, killing its supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. We are joined by senior journalist Sridhar Krishnaswamy to analyze the broader impact of this crisis. Welcome, sir.
Thank
So
you.
many are drawing parallels between the current US-Israel actions and the CIA-backed coup in 1953 that overthrew Mossadegh government in Iran. Do you see any similarities between the two moments in the history?
No, I don't, because there are totally two different situations, but there are good lessons to be learned from both of them. Mossadegh was overthrown by the CIA and the MI6, that is the British intelligence. That was because he wouldn't play ball with them as far as oil. And that's one reason they thought that their interests were being threatened. And so they engineered a coup and they got rid of him. And but what happened was that they got hold of a very pliable person, the Shah of Iran. And then he ruled supreme till 1979. Now take this forward. What do you have here? You have here kind of a totally, what shall I say? I don't even know how to characterize this. It started off as a way to bring Iran to the nuclear deal. But it had nothing to do with the nuclear deal. See, actually, this is all got to do with regime change. And so when things got, actually the US and the Iranians were moving very fast towards achieving a deal of sorts on the nuclear front. But then suddenly they decided that it has to be regime change. Now, if it were regime change, they could have just said that they could have done this in January when the regime was going around killing people mercilessly. Because they were protesting. And but now you tell the people, I am here to support you, and then you go rain bombs on them. It doesn't make any sense to me.
So when you're talking about regime change, there have been earlier attempts for regime change, such as we saw in Iraq and Afghanistan. But however, these have led to long-term instability in the region. So what do you think will be the impact, long-term regional impact of this current crisis?
First of all, you have to see whether the regime change comes about the way the Americans and the Israelis want. Sometimes you have to be very careful to what you pray to. Okay, sometimes you may be granted it, But then what happens after that? It happened in Iraq, it happened in Libya, it happened in almost every Middle Eastern country that the Americans tried to fool around with regime change ended up in chaos and threatening the very interests of the United States. Now here, you're talking about regime change. Now, who do you want there? You can't answer that question because nobody knows who they want. The problem in Iran right now is that in spite of all that went through in the aftermath of the Arab Spring of 2011, 2012, there were occasional outbursts in Iran. Even in the last few months, there have been sporadic violent protests. But in all these protests, you have to understand that the protests didn't stay as a movement and they didn't have a leader. So in the absence of that, who are you going to have? Today, before I came onto your show, sometime back, I read something like the Ali Khamenei's son has been put in charge as the supreme leader. Now, is he acceptable? Is he going to sign the dotted lines of Washington and Tel Aviv? I don't know. You don't know. Nobody knows. So we have to wait. We have to watch. It's a dicey situation. It is.
So then can we expect a return of the Shah again?
If you leave it to the son of the Shah, who is in exile, I don't even know where he is in exile. Some people say in the United States, some people say in Europe, I don't know. But the Shah became a highly unpopular person till the time he was unceremoniously kicked out of Iran in 1979. And nobody wanted to take him even on humanitarian grounds. And it was left to the United States to somehow cajole, somehow beg, cajole, the Arabs themselves to take him just so that he can get some, treatment. And you know what happened in the aftermath of the Shah of Iran's departure? Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini, he came to the scene. And then the students and the revolutionary, guards took over the American embassy. They took in 52 hostages who were captive for 444 days. And they didn't return until the day Ronald Reagan was sworn in as president of the United States in 1981. So the question of the Shah returning, or the son of the Shah returning, is one of the options. I don't know. He has put up his hand and saying that he is willing to lead. He has thanked Mr. Trump for successfully bringing about regime change. I don't know. I don't know whether he has that kind of political clout, political skills, political wherewithal. Don't forget that he has been in the wilderness for the last, close to 40 years.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Iran has vowed to retaliate and take revenge for its leader's kill. And Iran has also attacked US military bases in several Gulf countries. So, what is next for the Middle Eastern countries given their strong relationship with the US?
Well, they have to sit back, wait, watch, and pray that they don't get even, bombarded in a heavier. Listen, it is just like a wounded animal, a wounded tiger. What does it do? It has got nothing to lose. So it is going to go and throw at its opponent with everything it has got in its gambit. Everything. I won't be surprised if the Iranians step up, because after all, what has happened is something. See, going into a country is one thing, but you go there, kill a leader. Even the common persons who were against, Ayatollah Khamenei, would not be convinced that this was the proper way to do things. But somehow the Israelis and the Americans thought this is the only way you can do, what you have to do. So if you're asking me to again, yeah, go ahead.
Yes, sir. So Iran sits on major oil and natural gas resources, and the current tension, especially the Strait of Hormuz, could disrupt the global energy flows. So, how do you think it's going to impact the global energy security given the Russia-Ukraine war also?
Oh, it will. Don't forget, the Straits of Hormuz is a very small area, but that's where about 35 to 40% of the global oil goes through every day. So, but Iran doesn't have to do anything much. They can just sink a tanker. They can take an empty tanker and sink it in this Hormuz. And that's it. It will choke up the entire, flow of tankers through. And, I don't know whether I have not been in a super tanker, and I don't think you would have also been in one. Sinking a super tanker in such a narrow straits means it will take one hell of a time to clear up the mess. And you're talking about a country like India. We are the worst affected. India, China, these are the Japan. These are the oil importing giants that depend on the Straits of Hormuz. But don't forget the oil exporting giants also there, led by Saudi Arabia and the others in the Gulf, you know, they have to, they also have to take note of it, because they also lose revenue. And
Yes.
just imagine a huge oil exporting country like Saudi Arabia. How long can they sit without earning their petrodollars on a daily basis? So yeah, Straits of Hormuz, you're talking about, it's a big time. What shall I say? It's a big time player, and the Iranians don't have to do much to shut it down.
Yes, sir. So, along with energy security, has also huge investment in the Chabahar port in Iran. So, where does
Yeah.
India stand in this complex web of relations? We have US, Israel, Gulf countries, as well as Iran in the picture.
Yeah, we have a very tightrope walking to do, and I'm sure we will do it, because we have always been good fence sitters. We have been very good at it. In fact, we have specialized in sitting on the fence. Of late, we have to wait and see. It will be very stupid on our part to jump into the fray and support one or the other. India and Iran have got deep civilizational links, relationship, historical relationship. Yes, we used to buy about 10% of our oil from Iran at one time, but because of American pressure, we have now brought it down to a trickle, maybe about 3%, 4%. So that won't matter. But we have got other investments like Jabhar, port, that we'll have to wait and see how the wind blows, and we cannot unilaterally announce anything without knowing how the chips are going to fall.
Thank you so much for your time, sir.